The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers video game is one of my favorite games to play in the GameCube. I remember playing it at 8 years old, right after I watched the movie. Probably shouldn't have played at that age, but anyways, hello everyone, Cat Goblin and Martin here. So as you can tell, I've been playing a lot of The Lord of the Rings The Two Towers lately. It's just such a great game. And then I came up with an idea for a challenge video that might actually be insane. Can you beat the Lord of the Rings The Two Towers video game without your main melee weapon? Your sword, knives, or axe are pretty important to fend off waves of orcs, but if we eliminate that, we are left with the bow and arrow and of course your kick. So basically, I'm going to try to beat the game using only a bow and arrow. I mean, the game does put a lot of emphasis on your bow.
Meloi! Balin Fininge!
The rules are quite simple. I cannot use my melee weapon to harm an enemy. This also means that I'm not allowed to parry or counter an enemy's attacks, and I cannot use it to break an enemy's shield. Enemies can only be defeated with arrows, and I can also kick them off ledges. I am, however, allowed to use my melee weapon as a tool to destroy obstacles because those are unavoidable. I'll mainly be playing as Aragorn, but I will also play as Legolas and Gimli to see if it is possible for them. And with all that said, let's get straight to it. So the first level, which is the Prologue, is pretty simple to beat. We may not have a bow, but all you need to do is just lure the orcs by the lava and then push them in until the level ends. Weathertop is pretty interesting because you're given a torch used to defeat the Nazguls, and you attack by using your fierce attack. Well, since I'm not attacking with my sword, then I guess this level's clear. The Gates of Moria is a pretty easy level, as all you do is shoot or kick goblins and archers. And on top of that, you also get a partner character to help you. Now, the only downside is the level's boss, the Watcher in the Water. To damage it, you have to shoot its head, but to get its head to pop out, you must counter a tentacle attack, and then use your melee weapon to cut it off. And you have to do this process 5 times, which means you use your melee weapon 10 times. Well, my sword isn't damaging the boss, but let's just keep on moving. Balin's Tomb is another easy level. The goblins rush in and you shoot them. In this game, to do more damage with your bow, you just have to draw it back longer before firing. The game also allows you to level up when you get experience points from killing orcs, and you can use those points to upgrade your bow and armor, which is what I'll be doing every time I level up. Anyways, the level also has shield goblins. To break the shield, you just draw back your bow longer, and just like that, the shield is broken. It's also pretty funny when I'm just standing here and all the goblins just completely miss when they do their leap attack. This level's boss is the Cave Troll. Now in the first phase of the fight, you're meant to use a fierce attack, but you can use projectiles to damage it. I also noticed that sometimes the Cave Troll just becomes immune to my arrows for some reason. And then the second phase, you just shoot it while you have the high ground. Oh yeah, there's also this goblin to watch out for, but he's not that annoying. In Amon Hen, you have to eliminate 75 Uruk-hai scouts, which isn't actually too difficult, because these orcs have slow and big attacks, which makes it easier for you to draw your bow back in time to deliver an instant KO. There are 3 minor problems to work around though. First being that you'll find yourself running low on arrows or throwing axes, but luckily enemies that you defeat can drop ammo. Second is that you have a time limit before the orcs find Frodo, so you gotta be quick. And third is that if you shoot these orcs while they're attacking, even if your bow is drawn all the way back, they don't take any damage, which means you have to fire before they start swinging. Yeah, the logic doesn't make sense. I hit that guy with a shot that should have instantly ended him by now. How is he still standing? After you take care of the orcs, you have to fight Lurtz. In the first part, you challenge him to an archery competition, but then he gets super upset over your amazing bow skills and wants to challenge you to a duel instead. This boss fight is actually really easy with a bow, especially if your bow is upgraded. Now Lurtz can deflect arrows, but get him to jam his sword into a statue and you can get some nice shots in. It's funny watching him trying to pull his weapon out. What an idiot. Another way you can get some quick shots at him is by kicking him and then immediately firing an arrow. With Lurtz defeated, we come across Fangorn Forest, and is it just me or did anyone else get scared or surprised of all the enemies bursting out of nowhere in the level? Anywho, you fire a bunch of arrows at the goblins and shield orcs that ambush you at the start. Now the shield orcs are pretty annoying to defeat, not because you have to break their shield, but because they have this leap attack that can knock you down. Luckily they're pretty slow at attacking, and the Uruk-hai Berserker is a complete joke. He just aimlessly swings his sword, giving you ample time to get a power shot in. We break this log, walk through here, and oh, 2 goblins randomly fly here. Okay. Well, this is a big problem. Out of nowhere, a troll bursts through the trees, and surprise, surprise, he's immune to arrows. There wasn't much I could do, but I had this idea to go behind the troll after he slams the ground and shoot his back, because the troll does react when you hit it there. I did that many times until I ran out of arrows or just straight up died, and then I realized something. My shots aren't damaging the troll at all. You see, when you hit an enemy with an arrow and it does damage, there will be this little curve that forms underneath the meter. The more hits you get, the more the curve forms. Then once you kill an enemy, you get a determined rank, which gives you XP. And this troll takes Aragorn about 9 hits to defeat using a standard fierce attack. So now I had to use my sword to slay it, which is pretty sad. What's worse is that there's 3 more of these bad boys to defeat, and yes, you must defeat them in order to progress. The remainder of the level is pretty straightforward. Knock all these guys into the pit just like how you would boot someone in Hitman, push these orcs down the waterfall, shoot down the orcs that pop out of the water, slay troll, Uruk-hai Berserker, ambush, goblin ambush, and finally, slay 2 trolls. Plains of Rohan is a pretty cool and intense level. You gotta protect the civilians from the invading Uruk-hai soldiers. Though the level is fun, try using only a bow and arrow in your kick. It's miserable. The Uruk-hai soldiers you see running around are by far the most annoying enemies in the whole game. They have this leap attack which can knock you down, and after they leap at you once, they'll back up and leap at you again, which is pretty annoying. On top of that, you can only damage them when they're not doing the leap attack, otherwise they become immune to arrows, just like the scouts and shield orcs. Besides that minor complication, the level's short and simple. When you get to this area, I suggest you run into the burning house and snipe the orcs while Gandalf hits them from the back, so you don't get knocked down. Then the ending is pretty easy because you have a bunch of allies drawing the orcs' attention, giving you time to get some power shots and to rescue the villagers. The West Fold is a cakewalk because you have the Uruk-hai Berserkers with the bombs on their back, plus a bunch of bombs are placed everywhere. With the right timing, you'll blow up a ton of enemies. Next is the Gap of Rohan. In the beginning part, you just shoot down 2 warg riders, then you have to fight some more riders, and finally face off against Sharku. I wasn't too sure how to defeat him at first because he can deflect your arrows, but here's what you have to do. When his warg rears up, shoot it. Then while it's stunned, run behind it and fire an arrow at Sharku's butt. Sharku will also try to charge you from time to time. Luckily, if you kick and move left or right, then you won't get knocked down. It's a pretty simple fight. We're now on to our last area, which is Helm's Deep, and it has 3 levels. The deeping wall is pretty straightforward. Kick the ladders, and if any orcs climb up, shoot them with arrows or knock them off the ledge. The difficulty progressively gets harder as tougher enemies like the shield Mordor orcs and Uruk-hai soldiers start climbing up. So you'll need to be a little bit extra careful. But since this level has a lot of ledges, they shouldn't be too much of a problem, as long as you're fast with knocking down the ladders. Oh, and also, the Berserker with the sword can kinda help you out, as his large swings can damage nearby orcs. Breached Wall. Probably the most difficult level in general, and with this challenge, it's super tedious. The objective is to protect this door from the onslaught of Uruk-hai and orc invaders. Parts of this level aren't actually too bad. Getting rid of the Berserkers with the bombs and the smaller attack groups are very easy to deal with. The times when the shield orcs come in can get annoying because I have to first of all break their shield, and I can only deliver a killing blow if they stop hitting the door. Thankfully, they're slow attackers, and a Berserker can even help me out. The toughest part was when 3 Uruk-hai soldiers and a melee Berserker come in. The Berserker is fixated on the door, and the soldiers are really obnoxious with the leap attack. Like seriously, I died because they cornered me right in this puddle. Unfortunately, the level has that troll that chucks logs at you, so I had to use my sword. Then there's the final part of the level. The orcs bring in this catapult that fires bombs, which I have to destroy. To get to the catapult, I first have to shoot the captain, all the crossbowmen, 3 soldiers, and the shield orcs on the right side. Once they are down, I can make my way over through the right, because for some reason the guys standing on the left won't attack you unless you go near them. The support barriers for the catapult do take a sliver damage from arrows, but let's be honest, with the door's health bar being this low, there's no way I can just shoot it down. So once again, I used my sword to bring the catapult down. It took me a few tries to beat this level. However, I did have a hard time with Gimli. I can get to the catapult part, but I didn't have enough time to destroy the thing. Probably because I let the door take more damage, and also throwing axes weren't even upgraded yet. So for this level, and also the next one, I skipped Gimli. Hornburg Courtyard was even tougher than Breached Wall. You have a bunch of shield goblins and orcs, as well as those guys with the 2 picks charging in from all sides, and you gotta protect this barrier from being destroyed. Of course, this level has many events that happen, and after you complete that small objective, there's difficulty spikes. Save Legolas from these 3 soldiers, all of a sudden Uruk-hai soldiers come in, so you have to take them down. Then some archers try to snipe the barrier with fire arrows, so you have to run all the way back upstairs again and shoot them. Run back down, and now we have Berserkers. Defeat them, and now 2 trolls come in. Yes, this level is complete chaos, and it took me dozens of times to complete it. But I did find a really useful strategy which did help me beat the level. So you see that staircase you'll occasionally have to go up? Well, if you have a bunch of the soldiers chasing you, and if you go halfway up the stairs, they'll stand there idle, which gives you the perfect opportunity to bring them down. The barrier also seems to take less damage. On my good clip, I was very close to a game over. When I went up to the stairs, the troll part triggered, and while nearly every orc was frozen, I sniped the trolls, giving me a tasty victory.
They're about to smash the barricade! Into the Great Hall!
Oh, remember that troll that's immune to arrows? Well, Legolas can actually defeat it when you upgrade his arrows to the Dragonfire arrows. So now when you shoot the troll in the back, it will take damage from catching on fire. You can also upgrade his fire arrows again so that they do more damage and are purple. So Legolas would be able to complete Fangorn without using his knives to harm an enemy. But you're going to need to be level 6, which is impossible to be at considering how early Fangorn is. The last level I wanted to try out is the Tower of Orthanc, a challenge level where you defeat waves of enemies and progress through 20 floors while the difficulty increases, until you meet Count Dooku. Lord Tyrannus. Sauron. Yes, Sauron. I played this level as Aragorn and died on the 9th floor. There's just no way I could beat it with him, Gimli, or Isildur. Sure, there's ledges everywhere, but there isn't really a good position to snipe enemies. Plus, you only get ammo and health if you clear a floor, and you don't get much back. With Legolas though, the level is extremely easy thanks to the fire arrows. The higher floors do have trolls and cave trolls which are super easy to defeat. Just make sure not to get cornered by the 3 trolls on the 20th floor like what I did here. So, is it possible to beat the Lord of the Rings The Two Towers with nothing but a bow and arrow as well as your kick? Well, sadly it isn't. Out of the levels, 10 out of 13 were possible to complete without a melee weapon. The only time I had to use it was to cut the tentacles off the Watcher in the water, defeat 4 trolls in Fangorn, and finally defeat a single troll and catapult. Technically, I also used it to get rid of many obstacles in Fangorn and the Plains of Rohan. The West Fold and Gap of Rohan only have 1 obstacle each to destroy. Nevertheless, this challenge was really fun to do. It was something that I had in mind for a while, and also completing Hornburg Courtyard was so satisfying to pull off. I'll probably post that level later. But doing this challenge really shows just how powerful the bow and arrow is in this game. In fact, in a lot of games that I played, the bow and arrow is super OP. It's useful in Assassin's Creed 3, Crisis 3, Thief, and the list goes on. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, please like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.
Going on?
You got something?
All right, come on out.
No way, Hooktail.